So my desk stopped working. It normally goes up and down nicely, and now it's at a very awkward location as it stopped working, which means my microphone is at an awkward location. So I want to work on my goals. I realized while trying to research for this project and figure out what I wanted to do and feeling overwhelmed at what to do, that I need to know my goals and my mission and my vision in order to know how to navigate all these different things you need to know to build a house. I'm a business owner. That's kind of my area of interest and somewhat expertise. And I realize I'm just probably going to approach this from what I know, which is business. So we're going to do a mission, a vision, and some goals that should help me understand what I'm doing here and keep me on track, hopefully. So my mission is going to be, let's see here, I'm going to just copy it over that I've worked on a little bit. To learn the craft of general contracting, build a home my way, gain equity, and contribute housing to the community I love. I am thinking about how I might be a general contractor one day. I have no idea if that's actually true. It's a thought. I got to do it first and see if I'm into it. So that's part of why I'm doing this. I want to do it my way, which means that things are done not cheaply, but cost effective. Cheap is, it could be garbage and cheap and affordable. Cost effective means it's the right dollar amount for what you're trying to do. So that's one way of doing it my way. Another part of doing it my way would be doing things that don't cost money, but make a good choice decision, like where do the windows go? What way does the building face to capture the most sunlight? That kind of stuff. Gain equity. I could theoretically just do this by having a general contractor come in and do this build for me, but I think based on my research, that's a lot of your equity if you even get it at all. I'm in a tough market too, Western Washington, which is just wild from a cost perspective. So I need to be very careful about the equity and money in general. And I want to contribute housing. So I like real estate a lot. Real estate, as I've met different people that do real estate in the various meetup groups and the real estate investment groups, there's a lot of ways you can do real estate. A lot of them don't feel amazing to me. My litmus test is if I woke up really early in the morning and cranked out a bunch of X thing that I'm doing, would I feel better about myself for the world? Like, okay, if I am snatching up single-family homes and doing terrible paint jobs on them and making them look modern by painting them white and black and then jacking up the rent, no, I wouldn't feel great about that. That's not wholesome. But taking land that has no house on it and putting a house on it so that we have more housing stock in this city, state, and country actually feels great. We need more of that. So, and doing it responsibly too makes sense to me, making houses that will last and making, these small decisions that make a house theoretically last longer makes me feel good, makes me feel like I want to do more of it. And then the, flywheel keeps going. So that's my mission. Vision. Let's see here. Now, I always struggle with the difference between a mission and a vision. But I think of the vision as the what. What are we doing? Just point it out for me. You should be able to look at it and see, right? I can't look at the mission and see it so much. But learning the art of general contract, you can't see that or touch it. I think a vision is more tangible. So as my own general contractor, I'm going to build a simple, efficient, on time, on budget house with minimal stress. You can kind of see that though, right? I could see myself being stressed or not. That's a very tangible feeling. You can know if a house is on time. That's pretty easy. Hey, I said it's going to be 6 months and it was 10 months, not on time. Simple, efficient, simple. That's something you can also see. It's going to be a rectangle. That's really what it's going to be. I'm not going to go crazy here. It's going to have a rectangle. It's going to look like a 4-year-old drew it. So that's my vision for this project. This is just this project, my first one. Top goals. I have a predisposition to doing things in legendary mode. So I'm going to try and do this in easy mode. So what that means is don't take the hard route, take the easy route. Don't go against convention, go with convention if possible. And this is like the 80-20 rule, right? So like I might swim upstream sometimes, but most of the time I'm going to swim downstream and just do what everyone else is doing. Proven things, proven process, proven materials, things that people done forever that work decent. So I'm going to do easy mode. Same thing with like, it's going to be a rectangle. It's going to have windows. It's going to be nothing fancy. This is my first one. I can go fancy if I want to later. It's easy to become like make a harder project later, right? But the first one needs to be easy. I don't have experience. So second one is designed for the market it will sell. It will sell in. What does that mean? That means that the point of this house is to sell it. Not immediately, but I want to live in it for 2 years so that I can sell it without the capital gains tax. But my tastes are actually quite different than what the market would usually dictate. So I need to be careful to design it for the market that it's going to be sold in. The point I need to be thinking about is selling this place eventually. So if the market really wants 3 bedrooms in this area that I'm building in, I should really try to figure out how to do 3 bedrooms, even if they're a bit smaller. If the market says, there needs to be 2 stories or single story, I have to kind of think about that and follow those conventions. So design for the market it will sell in. Instant equity. So I need to make sure that I make money off this because they just make it worthwhile. I'm just putting a lot of time on this and I don't want to value my time at $0 or $. I want to actually get something for my time. Again, smart business move, basic thing. We'll see how to do that, but that is a goal. I need to pay attention to it. Okay, as far as locationality of this place, it needs to be within 1 to 2 hour drive from SeaTac Airport. So Western Washington, for me, that's important. I want to not be too far from the airport is kind of where I'm thinking here for the first place. Space-wise, enough for a couple and occasional guest. So that could be a 2-bedroom place. That could be a 1-bedroom with a sun porch that can be lived in the summer with that screened in. I can be pretty flexible here. I got friends that are like super outdoorsy, like guest could mean anything, but that's the theme here. I want to do 500 hours of planning. The books I've read, the things I've looked at have said like 1,000 to 2,000 hours. Some of those are really dated numbers too. We have things like ChatGPT these days and resources out the wazoo. I feel like I can cut it in half, especially because, again, I'm doing an easy mode. Rectangle. Boring. Easy. So I'm going to hit 500. And 500 hours is a lot. Like, that is a ton of planning. So I'm going to be tracking that as well, but I need to do that. And finally, affordable charm. What this means to me is that, yes, it's going to be rectangle. It's going to be kind of boring, but there will be opportunities to make it charming, cozy, comfortable, endearing that don't cost much of anything. And when they arise, I want to opt for those decisions. And that's the type of thing that I think sets you apart from being like, just a general contractor. That's your profession and you have to make these and you have to make profit. You can't dwell on them too long. So I hope to be able to find these opportunities. All right, sacrifices. Something's got to change. I'm not currently building a house right now, but I am actually doing it right now, but I hadn't been for a long time and my days are not longer. So what am I sacrificing? Something's got to give or else it's just not going to happen. So what am I not sacrificing? Okay. I'm not sacrificing my health. That's easy enough, right? I'm not going to lie. That's why I want to be lower stress. I'm not going to get 4 hours of sleep a night. Not worth it for me at that point. I'm also not going to sacrifice relationships with friends and my partner. So that's just a no-go. What I will sacrifice, though, is hobbies. I've got some that I enjoy that I just put on pause. I mean, hobbies can be bought again. Maybe I'll do hobby bankruptcy. I've liked that idea that I've heard before. The next one is going to be checkmark income, which sounds crazy because you need income high, lots and lots of it in order to qualify for a loan. But I've got to take a day off of work every week to get this done. I need 500 hours. I don't want to do it on the weekend too much. So I need to get it somewhere. And if I didn't take it from income, I would probably be risking my health or relationships. So income's got to be cut a little bit. And I think I'll be able to do that in a way that doesn't prevent me from qualifying for the loan, which we'll talk about loans in a different video. And finally, I'm willing to sacrifice free time. So just less free time. I mean, what am I doing with my free time anyway? I'm going to use it for building my house. So those are my sacrifices. The other thing that is very common in the business world is a SWOT analysis, which stands for the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So I've got a SWOT here, which we're going to do. The first two are internal. They're things that you can control. There are things that you have the power to make better, to overcome, to leverage. And opportunities and threats, the last two, those ones are external to you. So you're not in control of them and you're kind of just reacting to them, I suppose. So let's start with strength. And these are just going to be like my strengths because this is for me to build my own place. Let's start with strengths. For my business, I do a lot of operations, so organization and planning I feel pretty strong about. And building a house is mostly planning and organization. It's a lot of, there's planning for the first 60, 70% of the project, and then 30%, which is the building, that's organization. Our materials there, our contractors there, our things being spent and brought in at the right time. Like all that's just organization planning. So I feel pretty strong about that. Not as it relates to house building yet, but I think that will have some translation. Accounting, that's kind of the other world I work in. Accounting's huge. So being able to look at your job costing correctly and price things out correctly and see where your money is going, that's going to be hugely helpful to me. So I don't have to relearn that stuff. I kind of know all that intuitively, so I can get that strength out of the way too. Another one is work flexibility. So what this means is I can work from basically anywhere that has internet. So I could be on site a lot more often. I can be maybe even living on site depending on the situation, but I have that flexibility to be there if needed. Because having someone not there is, I've heard, like, terrible idea for obvious reasons. You need to make sure things are being done the right way and the roof is being put the right way up and so on. So work flexibility, big deal. Weaknesses. Activation energy. So I describe this as the oomph needed to get going on something. I feel like I'm kind of going, but I'm definitely not at the stage of like rigorous hard work that is producing results every week on a deadline to be able to build on time. So the biggest possibility with this project that I need to overcome is that it never happens, that I just talk about it, I think about it, I make these videos, and then I get distracted with something else. So that's like my nightmare scenario. It's like a slow burn nightmare, and I hate it. And I'm going to do everything I can to stop that from happening. Once I get the project going and ground is kind of broken, I'm fine. I can do that kind of stuff. It's the activation energy that I need to be careful about. Okay, the other thing is I'm a lone wolf. I need to stop being a lone wolf. If I want to be successful in this project, I need to be talking to people that are doing this. I need to be out in the community. I need to be community building. Talking to folks that know how to do this, other general contractors, making friends with people. My default is just to grind through it on my own without like talking to anyone, which is terrible. So that's a weakness I'm going to try to overcome, is my lone wolf-ism. Again, opportunities are external. So my opportunities compared to a general contractor who has this as a business is that I don't have to turn to profit or worry about business. So even if I broke even on this house, it was the same cost as a general contractor doing it, and I just spent all this time, I would still have a ton of new knowledge at that point. So the second time I do it, I could do it even better. So a general contractor that makes no money on their first build is kind of SOL. That means their entire year is out of like they made nothing. So I don't have to worry about that. So I can be a little competitive there. The next one is capital gains. So my kind of strategy here is to build this first house, live in it for 2 years, sell it, and then do what I really want, as opposed to like the basic budget build. So in the US, if you live in your house for the last 2 years and you sell it, the capital gains tax is not applied if you follow the rules. So having like capital, let's say $100,000 or $50,000, even $20,000 of capital gains when you sell, means you just get that money. You don't have to actually pay taxes on it, which is pretty cool. That's like an amazing tax glitch. Threats. All right, so the number one thing that seems to be the case is that subs that won't work with OBs. Subs apparently, and that makes sense, don't want to do this a lot because it's kind of a one-off gig. They don't get recurring work. Owner builders can kind of be like unprofessional just because they don't know how the industry works. So it's like, they don't understand what you're trying to do, and it's kind of challenging. The other thing is that owner builders might just be super cost focused and be like, that's too expensive, whatever, or maybe even be weird DIY focused. So I think there'll be opportunities to overcome a lot of these by just being a really good owner builder and trying to be as professional as possible and know what you're getting into before talking to any subs. The next one is loan availability. I do have to get a construction loan for this project, so I can't just like cash flow this. I don't have like $700,000 sitting around someday after a couple of these builds maybe. But for now, I got to get a loan. They are out there. They're not super common. They're not easy to obtain, but they do exist. And if they exist, I'm going to get it. I'm going to actually talk about this in another video, hopefully soon. But loan availability is definitely a threat to overcome. And then ultimately, material cost, right? That can change at a moment's notice. We saw how 2021 and 2022 were with lumber. Things have come back down to earth a little bit, but that could change at any moment's notice. The trade war is among us, so who knows what material costs might change to. But we'll have to just be creative if they change a lot. So those are that's my SWOT analysis here. So my next step is going to be to turn these goals into some action items with due dates, which is what I'll be doing next. My next kind of goal in that I know about is financing. So I'm going to be researching more about financing, talking to banks, lenders, figuring out how I can make this happen and roughly what my budget might be and what my loan application has to look like so that I can know ahead of time what I need to be prepared for as far as planning and documents before even stepping foot in the bank. So that's what I got for this one. Thanks for watching.